Right, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm just going to review what we were doing in the previous lesson. And basically, we were just looking at how to simplify I. Okay, suppose you're given to simplify I to the power 5. How do you approach that? And so on and so forth. So in simplifying, there are two cases. So there is a case where you simplify by um, by adding the powers. So for instance, this can be written as I to the power 2 plus 3. Okay, so this is the case where you are simplifying by adding the powers or breaking down by addition. Then there is also a case where you break down by multiplication. Suppose you're given I to the power, say 20. Okay, so you can break this down by multiplication. You can say this is the same thing as I to the power 2 times 10. Okay, so now the approach for this and the approach for this are different. So in a case where you are adding the powers, this is where you are allowed to multiply the bases. So you can say I to the power 2 times I to the power 3. Okay, this is where you are allowed to um, to multiply the bases if the powers are adding. But for the case where you're multiplying the powers, you cannot multiply the bases. You cannot multiply the bases. So what you do is you simplify by grouping. So you say this is the same thing as I to the power 2, then times everything raised to the power 10 like that. All right, so that is what you're using. So basically, we can put it in retrospect as whenever you have I to the power, let's say A plus B plus C plus D, this you can write it as I to the A times I to the B times I to the C times I to the D. Then where you're multiplying the powers, suppose you have A times B times C, you can say this is something as I to the power A to the power B times C, which can further, after you work out that, you can say this is I to the power A to the power B, then to the power C like that. You can separate it like that. So the powers work like that. So that is what you're basically doing. So for all questions, so when you decide to add the powers, this is what you are using. When you decide to multiply the powers, you are using this. All right. So an example would be, suppose you are asked to simplify. You're asked to simplify I to the power 27. Okay. I know that this can be written as I to the power 20 plus 7. So now I want you to see how I am presenting my work. So you see that 20 plus 7 means that I am able to multiply the bases. So 20 times I to the power 7. Okay. Then now from here, I'll say this will be equals to I to the power 20 can be written as I to the power 2 times 10, like that. Then we have a times there. Then I to the power 7 can be written as 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1. Okay, so I'm just putting this in retrospect. So I to the power 7 can be written as that. So now this part can be simplified as I to the power 2, then everything to the power 10, then times. What is here can be written as I to the power 2 times I to the power 2 times I to the power 2 times I to the power 1, like that. So I to the power 2 is negative 1. So negative 1, then we have a 10 here. We are not discarding everything. anything because we don't want to change the question. So we don't leave out the 10, we consider it. I to the power 2 is negative 1. Then we have the power 10 times. Here, I to the power negative 2, it will be negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1 times I. Okay, so now we can simplify. So for us to get rid of the negative, we should have negative 1 to the power 2. So negative 1 to the power 2 will make this positive 1. But what should we multiply in what should we multiply 2 to so that we get 10? So we can multiply by 5, it will give us 10. Then in here we have negative 1 times negative 1, positive 1 times negative 1. This simplifies to negative I. Okay, then here again we are multiplying the bases. This will be negative 1 to the power 2, then to the power 5. Then here we have negative I. Okay, then this simplifies to negative 1 to the power 2, that's positive 1. Positive 1 to the power 5 times negative I. So 1 to the power 5 or 1 to the power any number, positive 1 to the power any number is 1. So the answer is just negative I. So then you say I to the power, we were looking for I to the power 27. So I to the power 27 is equals to negative I, and you have simplified. Let me just do one more example. Suppose you're simplifying I to the power 347. Okay, so I to the power 347, this can be written as I to the power 300 plus 40 plus 7. Okay, then you can simplify this. You start with this part. So for this part, okay, since the powers are adding, we can say this is the same thing as I to the power 300 times I to the power 40 times I to the power 7. Where we simplify now, we work with I to the power 300, which can be written as I to the power 2 times 150. Okay, we are urged to have a 2 somewhere so that it will be easier for us to multiply. So 2 times 150 will give us 300. So always try to look for a number that you can multiply 2 to so that it gives you that number if the number is big. Okay, and especially if it's an even number, you can simplify it that way. So for this one, this is not an even number. So yeah, then you say 2 times 150 will give you 300. Then here we can say I to the power 2 times 40, 2 times 20 will give us 40. Then for this one, we just say I to the times I to the power 7, which can be written as I to the power 3 plus 4. So there are some simplifications that you should know. So this can be written as I to the power 2, then to the power 150. This can be also written as power 2 to the power 20. And we know this can be written as I to the power 3 times I to the power 4. Okay, now you simplify. So I to the power 2 is negative 1 to the power 150. I to the power 2 is negative 1 to the power 20 times I to the power 3. We know it's negative I. So there are some you should know. And I to the power 4 is simply positive 1. You know this. So since I squared times I squared, that is negative 1 times negative 1, which should give you positive 1. So I to the power 4 is positive 1. So now you simplify. Now you need to get rid of the negative here. How you get rid of the negative is by having a 2. So you say negative 1 to the power 2 times what number can give us 150. So we see that when we say 75 times 2, it will give us 150. So we can put it there. How can we get a 2 here? We can say negative 1 to the power 2 times 10. Then negative times 1, it will just be negative I. Then this simplifies to, we group them again, negative 1 to the power 2 and to the power 75. Here negative 1 to the power 2 to the power 10 times negative I. Negative 1 to the power 2 will be positive 1 to the power 75, which is just 1 times 1 to the power 10 times negative I. So this 1 to the power 75 is 1, 1 to the power 10 is 1, and negative I. So the answer is just negative I. So I to the power 347 is just equal to I. Okay. So now, having done this, I'm just going to give you a task that you're going to do, so that see if you are conversant with these simplifications. So I want this task by 12 hours. Should do this task by 12 hours so that you submit and I am able to mark, and we look at another lesson today. So we have so just these 3 questions. So submit. Actually, these are just tools that you need to know. So it's good that you'll be able to do this. And if you're able to do this, you won't find any challenges in the next lesson. So do this task and have a good evening.